The lie is often in the detail, isn't it? If you've got a special military operation, it's not a war, but you placed your country on a war footing. I'm afraid it's not a special military operation. That's not a war. It is a war. And if you've got a buffer zone that happens to be in the enemy territory, it's not quite a buffer zone, is it? Now, the buffer zone replaces what is in essence occupation, not on Russian soil, but inside sovereign Ukrainian territory. And this is the new euphemism that President Putin has devised. Fresh from his manufactured electoral triumph, he's now doubled down on his Orwellian vocabulary, declaring that Russia must conduct a sanitary zone to shield itself from what it calls terroristic Ukrainian incursions. And yet this so-called security buffer lies not within Russia's borders, but inside Ukraine's Sumy region. It's akin to placing your moat in your neighbour's garden and then accusing them of trespassing. The idea of a buffer zone is not new. From the Sudetenland to the DMZ in Korea, history is replete with examples, but Putin's version stands out for its strategic incoherence and its moral audacity. First raised in March, now formalised in May, and now under violent implementation, this buffer is said to protect Russian civilians from drone strikes and cross-border raids, many of which notably have been launched by anti-Putin Russian exiles rather than regular Ukrainian forces. This comes in the middle of Ukraine's growing reliance on long-range strikes targeting oil refineries and logistics deep within Russia because of the dwindling artillery stocks and delays in Western military aid. Let's clarify the geography here. Russia's buffer zone is not being built along its own border around Rostov-on-Don, that place which of course is well known to Liz Truss, but within Ukraine's Sumy region. Around 52 square metres are now in the so-called grey zone, contested, bombarded, depopulated. These advances, supported by intensified S-300 missile strikes and aerial bombardments, are not about building a moat, they're about expanding a fortress wall. It's a territorial acquisition under the guise of tactical prudence. Putin is not defending Russia's borders, he's redrawing them. And this comes precisely 10 years after the annexation of Crimea and immediately after Putin's tightly controlled re-election, a campaign free of real opposition, of course, but rich in symbolic pageantry. Putin timed the announcement of the buffer zone to coincide with a ceasefire proposal marking the 80th anniversary of the Soviet victory of World War II, a truce Kiev calls deception. But Kiev ought to know what a deception is, because it's had 3 years of deception. A PR stunt designed to fool Washington and Western electorates. Well, they're not going to be easily deceived either. It also coincides with renewed diplomatic movement, the Turkish-hosted talks, the Vatican-hosted talks, a proposed prisoner exchange, and Macron's suggestion that NATO troops might someday be deployed to Ukraine. Putin is both escalating and obfuscating and clearly thinking, and this is perhaps a positive, of an end game. Strategically, the buffer zone serves several aims. First, it puts key Ukrainian structure, roads, railways, depots under threat. Second, it attempts to thwart further Ukrainian incursions like the dramatic raid into Kursk last summer. And third, it undermines Zelensky's leverage ahead of any prospective negotiations, allowing Putin to dictate terms from an expanded front. This is not defensive war making, it's cartographic revision. It's map making, it's border redefining with missiles as the compass. Ukraine understandably considers this plan a red line that needs to be obliterated, rubbed out. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Tikiyev called it aggressive, and Zelensky has refused talks with Putin outright, insisting on justice at The Hague. The International Criminal Court has already issued a warrant for Putin's arrest over war crimes, and meanwhile US aid remains stalled. Senator Lindsey Graham, visiting Kyiv this week, proposed reframing the package as a no-interest loan to appease American skeptics, but the West debates semantics. Russia redraws the battlefield. Putin's buffer zone is not a margin of security, it is the margin of conquest. The chalk line of a future annexation. It may be framed as a strategic necessity, but it remains a global absurdity, a buffer that lies within the very country it claims to protect Russia from. This isn't diplomacy. It's an expansionist blueprint masquerading as defence, and the world should name it for what it is: occupation dressed as precaution, invasion draped in the robes of national security. Putin's concept of peace.